Well, hello there. Welcome to another episode of Just a Few. My name is Patrick Antoine, and of course, on this platform, I take the opportunity to provide biblical responses to queries and questions from people just like you. If you have a question and maybe you would like for me to attempt an answer at it, please feel free to use the email address on your screen now and submit the question to me via email, and I will try to provide you with a response as soon as possible. Today's question has to do with how the Bible presents the account of creation in Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. So the question is, are there contradictions between chapters 1 and 2 of Genesis? And a careful student or reader of those two chapters will realize that the writer, Moses, does indeed present account of creation, but it's really from different perspectives. It doesn't mean that it's opposing accounts or contradictory accounts. And I'll try to explain that to you in a few minutes. Genesis 1 is a broad perspective on God's creation of the entire universe. And so that's why it begins, in the beginning, God created the heavens, all of the expanse of the celestial order that we can see with our natural eye or the aid of telescopes and other equipment, the heavens and the earth. No major details are provided of any planet or galaxy or anything, or even of Earth. It's a broad perspective on creation. One of my, I won't even call it a pastime, I don't do it as often as I should or I wish I could, or hobbies, is photography. I'm a bit of an amateur photographer. So to illustrate this, I brought along a couple of my lenses. This here, for instance, is what you can call a long lens. It's for those of you who know about photography, it has a focal length that goes from 55 millimeters to 300 millimeters. So it allows you to capture images of distant objects, and you could expand this to give you a very long broad perspective of objects way out there. Panoramic shots, landscape. On the other hand, you have a shorter lens here, and the focal length goes from 18 millimeters to 140 millimeters, so you could adjust it out a bit. And this is used more for portraits, taking closer shots that you need more details in, that you need to be more focused on your subject. So chapter 1 of Genesis is like Moses using, well, with a writing then, a long lens, that he's looking at all of the heavens, a very broad perspective. And he mentions the earth, because when you read Genesis 1:16, for instance, it says, then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. And then he chimes in with 5 words there. Oh, he made the stars also. Do you know how many stars there are? Well, I don't either. But if you ask the astrophysicists out there, they don't know either. But Moses just bypasses that with a statement in 5 words, at least in the English translation. Oh, he made the stars also. Do you know how many books and videos and scholarly papers have been written about the stars? Moses just mentions that in 5 words and moves on, because he's using a long lens. He's not focusing on any planet, any galaxy, even on the earth for much. He just mentions God created the heavens and the earth. The word earth is found 23 times in chapter 1 in English versions. And what this is telling us is that of all the things God has created in the universe, all of the, suppose, millions of galaxies and so on, God's focus as far as redemption is concerned is on one planet, earth, and that's why he mentions earth so much. That's the only bit of focus you get from Moses using this long lens, that this is about earth and not so much about all the stars and all the other planets and so on. Yeah, there is a great light, the sun, and a lesser light, the moon, but that's about it. When you cross over now into chapter 2, you need to understand that while, all of the heavens and earth were created by God, earth is the most important. That's what you come out of chapter 1 considering. When you get into chapter 2 and he narrows the focus now, his focus is on earth, and he zooms in really on one species of creature that God made, mankind, placed on the earth. And that's how he presents it in chapter 2. And one of the reasons why some people think there's a contradiction or maybe a different writer and so on is because the order seems to be kind of reversed. Whereas in chapter 1, man was the last thing created. In chapter 2, it seems as if man was created and then everything else was put in place. There's a reason for that. It's an ancient way of communicating. It's a literary device. So what I noticed there is that, let me give you a couple bits of statistics. While in chapter 1, the word man is found only 2 times in verses 26 and 27. Let us make man in our image. So God created man in his image. Just twice. When you get into chapter 2 now, the focus is on earth, but you see the word man occurring 10 times. And then the name of the male species, Adam, is mentioned 6 times. So now the focus is on the male species, mankind. And so that is why we are seeing a difference in perspective. A long lens in chapter 1, a short focus lens in chapter 2. And it's not a contradiction. It's a literary device to tell you where the emphasis of the writer is being placed. And the reason why you see the order reversed is probably, I made a note that there, is that this might have been an ancient literary device or writing method used to indicate that the earth was specially made and prepared for man. That's why he's showing man first in chapter 2, that everything was built around or prepared for man. That's why when you get into the Psalms, Psalm 115 verse 16 says this: the heaven, even the heavens, are the Lord's, but the earth he has given to the children of men. And that's what Moses was stressing in chapter 2. The earth was specially prepared by God for men. So there's no contradiction. Let's remember Genesis 1, long lens. Just like a landscape view. You're not focusing on anything in particular. When you get into chapter 2, short lens, more focus on the earth and mankind. And that's how Moses presents chapters 1 and 2 of creation for us. It's just 2 different perspectives on creation, and that's how they wrote back then. My name is Patrick Antoine. Thank you for the observation and the question. Keep the questions coming. I'll try my best to provide answers. So until the next time, grace and peace be multiplied to you.